My name is John Nettles. I am an avid forager and a founder of this little digital foraging guiding brand called Slow Hike Company. And today we're going to talk about a simple yet profound act that has the power to change our lives in the way that we relate to the natural world around us. I am talking about foraging, an ancient practice that connects us to nature in a deeply meaningful way. Now, to me, foraging is about more than gathering sustenance. It's about forging new connections to the land and its inhabitants. It is about getting a newfound appreciation for the diversity and the abundance of nature's pantry. We learn to identify edible plants and animals and mushrooms, getting a newfound appreciation for the interconnectedness of these species. Doing so helps us realize that what could sustain one can sustain us all. Okay? So this is a fall foraging class or talk. I do multiple versions of this throughout the year, depending on the season. Fall is a great time for foraging. We have plenty of mushrooms out, and there's still some plants that are coming around that have laid over from the summer. What I have here today is actually a few items that I foraged around Baton Rouge, not necessarily in this park, but near it. And we also have some snacks for us to munch on. I tried my best to keep these warm and fresh for you guys. I have a little candle on there, but hopefully they stay that way for anybody who wants to sample them. So today what I want to do is I want to tell you a little bit about how to forage safely, where to forage, and what to look for at this time of the year. So first, let's get into a few safety tips. There's at least four big safety tips you should keep in mind as you forage. One, and the most important, and maybe the only one you need, is always get a positive ID from multiple sources before you forage, right? That means asking someone you know, and perhaps posting something online, and using a guide, and looking online, right? Google Lens, something like that, iNaturalist. Having multiple sources can give you the extra layer of security to make sure that you're not eating something dangerous. And there are plenty of online forage groups, mushroom identification Facebook groups. The guys are really responsive. They'll be happy to help you out. Item two is make sure you know what you are eating and that has not been treated with any chemicals. Sometimes you might come across a tasty mushroom or a plant in somewhere that has been treated with a chemical, maybe near a park or a green area, and you don't know what has been near it, right? I wouldn't eat that because if it has an herbicide or some sort of lawn treatment, it can make you really sick. The third safety item is be careful about foraging near roadsides. Again, ditches can be very fertile areas for foraging. Lots of plants and mushrooms like ditches, but if they've been soaking up a lot of chemicals from car exhaust and everything, that could affect the experience. It could soak up those chemicals and it can make you sick. And then fourth, allergies. If you forage food, mushrooms, just like any other food, if you've never had it before, sometimes your body can react in unexpected ways. So you may, before you try something new, have a little nibble, see how it reacts with your system. And then if that's okay, then you can go all out and just, fill your face with the food. But sometimes people will discover that they have new allergies when eating new foods. So those are the four big forage safety items. Now I'd like to get into what's popping in the woods. What should you be looking at when you forage? To that end, we came up with this. I usually do this with a slide deck. Today we're going analog, and we have this sheet with you. I'm going to go through the sheet, but I'm also going to go through some of these cool items, which you can come up and see after the talk and learn a little bit more about. So the first item I have here is an oyster mushroom. Despite the drought, despite how dry it's been, I was able to find some of these. These are going to be pretty abundant soon. They like the cold weather. This is a winter variety. And these are, gourmet mushroom. At the store, this can cost you $20 to $30 a pound. But you can find these on dead wood. They grow in white flourishes, shelf-like, very nubby, small stems. After a log falls down, you usually see these guys at some point come on, a hardwood usually. Sometimes you'll see them on dead trees that haven't fallen all the way down yet, but they have a subtle anise flavor. They have an excellent mushroom texture, and they're one of my favorite forage finds. As far as a plant, these are little peppery kicks. This is called smartweed, Persickia, I believe it's called. This is really common, and if you see, there's a little white seeds on these, and these Seeds vary in taste, but sometimes they have an excellent, very strong peppery flavor that I like to take a small little mouthful, a little pinch of, as I'm walking around the forest, just to give me that peppery kind of wake-up kick. All right, anybody know what these are, these orange fruits? Persimmons, right? The persimmons are out right now. I see these in random places. There's a big tree, if you walk to LSU Lakes by Stanford, somebody has one of these big ones in their yard. A very astringent fruit if you eat it when it's not all the way ripe. When it is ripe, yes, it will pucker your mouth, but when it falls to the ground, it becomes soft. This is a very sweet and one of my favorite forage finds. Also, curly dock. I actually see this around here. This is one that probably grows in your yard. It's got big, soft, wavy leaves. It's curly dock, Crispix ora. It's got the same sort of lemony salicylic acid that rhubarb has. And in the winter, it shoots a large, what I would call a stalk of brown seeds. Right about now, you see this in lower areas, sometimes near where water pools. And the seeds are easy to process into a flour. You can strip the seeds, bake them, grind them up, and you'll have a gluten-free flour to bake crackers and snacks with. You know, fall, acorns, a lot of acorns falling right now. A fun project I like in the fall is to make flour out of cow oak seeds. These acorns are big acorns. There are multiple cow oaks. A lot of these I found over here. But if you pop the seeds, you get a nut out of it. And if you leach that enough, and you have to be careful with your leaching because they vary in the tannins. The tannins make them very bitter. You can process this into a flour to make cookies and biscuits and what have you. Another fall mushroom that medicinal enthusiasts really like, and it's actually a fascinating mushroom. They do a lot of studies on this particular mushroom, a lot of beneficial polysaccharidopeptides, there be multiple cancer studies. This is probably the most studied of all the mushrooms, and this is called a turkey tail mushroom. Might be a little hard to see for you guys, but if you come up close, it's a beautiful mushroom. Fall colored striations, just like a turkey's tail. And if you boil this down, you can process it, doesn't really take much. It'll form, it'll just have a liquid. It's very earthy, very strong flavored, and it tastes like mushrooms. Another mushroom that's pretty easy to find right now is this wood ear mushroom. He's a jelly guy. Kind of squishy. It also, this is one I found yesterday, and I also have some I found 2 days ago. And the ones I found 2 days ago are crisp, like crackers, like crunchy. Just a little bit of rain turns them into this squishy ear-like mushroom here. And that's just what they do. They're sort of like resurrections for them. Whenever they get a little water, they resurrect it to their squishier state. In Asia, they eat this sauteed in soups, hot and sour soup. I was in Chinatown in Chicago with my girlfriend. We got a big plate of these as an appetizer, which I really enjoyed. But I like to cut these up, serve them with green beans, something to offset the soft texture. Also, lots of ways to make tea in the fall. I'm sure everybody knows what this is. This is I've seen this at least. Large gold flower stalks here, and this is goldenrod. Goldenrod makes an interesting tea. The leaves can be steeped and eaten. I usually steep them and put a little flour in there. You get the scent, and it tastes like green tea. And another thing I like to also do, my leaves all blew away, it looks like. But I'll show you a few leaves that you come up. There's a common holly here called a yopon holly. It has crenellated leaves and small berries, but you don't eat the berries. And this is actually, according to some sources, the only native producer of caffeine in North America. At one point in the South, when the South was under sort of an embargo or had faced high tariffs on coffee, this little holly, these leaves, was the only place where the South could get their caffeine fix. So it was very popular for a while until coffee came back after, in the mid 19th century. And then I also brought some purslane for you guys. You have probably, if you're a gardener, and I believe most of you are, have seen this leafy plant. You might hate it. It grows tenaciously and largely in cracks in the sidewalk and especially in gardens. But it does have a great lemony taste, a crisp crunch that makes it really good for pickling and to sprinkle on anything that needs a little grassy flavor and a little lemon tang. Okay. So that's what I brought today. I want to turn your attention now to this list, and I'll tell you a little bit about each one of these and maybe where you can find them. Chicken of the woods. This is a big orange mushroom. It's not common down here, but it is. I have found a few. If you're ever walking in the woods and you see a large, it looks almost like to me like a circus peanut. It can be neon orange. It's going to the base of a tree. You might have a chicken of the woods, and that's a choice edible. Chickeny flavor, not much, chickeny texture, not much flavor on it, but definitely a very good find. Coral tooth fungus are out right now. They look like pom-poms, sort of. These actually look like icicles, and they grow on dead wood. Skipping down to the Elliott's blueberry, that's a native blueberry. They are not fruiting. You might see a few more now. They're in low-lying areas, and they have tiny little fruits that you can make jams and jellies out of, and I believe most of these we covered. So now that you know sort of what to forage and maybe how to do it safely, a lot of the question I get is, how do I forage? Where do I go? If this is a hobby that might interest you and you want to learn more about it, I would suggest going to a state park. The break parks like this one, picking plants is against their rules, but if you go to somewhere like Tickfaw State Park or like Clark's Creek or somewhere around that area, according to their bylaws, you can pick up to 2 liters for personal consumption. You can't pick a bunch of mushrooms and then sell them at the farmer's market, but they have it written that you can go in and practice your foraging skills there, which makes sense because in a lot of these WMAs and a lot of these areas you can also hunt, so why wouldn't you be able to forage? And also how to forage. I would recommend, if you like this, find a foraging group online. There's Facebook groups where people sometimes connect you with land or with other enthusiasts who know where to go and how to get there. You can follow me on one of my social media profiles. I try to organize foraging trips and guided hikes throughout the year, and just network. There are many people who own land and love land and want to see naturalists and people who can be good stewards to come out and celebrate their land with them. Okay, so that's sort of my call to action. If anybody is hungry, I know it's a little early, there's a few little items we have. I have the oyster mushroom pasta here. Here's some pickled purslane rice, and if you want to try some persimmons, here's a persimmon salad with toasted walnut vinaigrette. And that is my question. So please, guys, get out there, try to forage, keep your eyes open for edible mushrooms. Fall's a great time to look this and engage in this hobby.